Top 5 most common mistakes piercers make. Coming up next on Piercing Top 5, episode number 14. For those that are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're finding them helpful and useful. But you might not know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So let's get into it. Number 5, piercing with the wrong jewelry or style. I think some of the more common problems I see with piercings, where a piercer made a judgment call and didn't do the right judgment call, is putting jewelry in a healing piercing that is just plain incorrect for that particular type of jewelry. It's too short. Maybe it's a completely wrong style to make it more difficult to heal and more prone to problems. Number 4, this is a really common one. They don't refuse to do a piercing that they know won't work or is beyond their skill level or experience. Experimenting on clients is something that I'm not a big fan of. When learning new piercings, what we generally suggest in an apprenticeship, and one of the most important parts of an apprenticeship, is that you're doing those piercings under the supervision of an expert, of somebody that's done thousands and thousands of that particular piercing and can guide you through the process, see you make mistakes, correct you right away, and basically cause the best results. Now, the other thing with doing stuff that just doesn't work, I am talking about things like surface-to-surface piercings they've never, ever seen heal. And, just piercings that are just plain a waste of money and a creator of massive scar tissue. Number 3, this is a really common one too, does not read the anatomy correctly. This could be kind of the same one as not refusing to do something that isn't going to work. They look at the anatomy and they don't notice that it just is not suited to that piercing, or they make a placement that is completely unsuitable for that piercing in that anatomy. Either it is totally doesn't make any sense, the location, or it's a situation where because that person has that anatomy, that piercing is never going to work. Number 2, loses the jewelry in transfer. This is probably not as common as it once was on most piercings, but unless those people have upped their game and invested in the proper tools and are using the proper techniques, there's always a possibility of losing the jewelry in the transfer. Just to explain this to those that don't pierce, we do the piercing with usually a piercing needle, which is a hypodermic needle. The end of it is a blunt, flat surface. The old school way was to push the jewelry against the edge of the jewelry, against the back of that needle, and use a little bit of drag on the front of the needle and use pressure against the jewelry to not only keep the needle in contact with the jewelry, but to guide the jewelry into the piercing. It was really common for the two to separate. More modern versions of that is to use guide pins to actually insert the jewelry. Most of it is, especially with threadless piercings or threadless jewelry and threaded jewelry, we just attach the pin to the jewelry. We inject the needle, do the piercing normally, and then we just put that taper pin or guide pin in the back of it and push the jewelry in with that. So there's no possibility of the piercing jewelry separating from the piercing needle, and then you can't get the jewelry all the way through the piercing. And it's the most common reaction that a inexperienced piercer is going to do is to just re-pierce it. I've heard horror stories of up to 7 or 8 times before they got the jewelry in. Number 1, they don't admit that they made a mistake. This is really common in the piercing industry, in the tattoo industry, in body art industry, and I think a lot of industries where people are human. People do make mistakes. No matter how experienced the piercer is, no matter how many times they've done that piercing, they've never done it on you. how you react to that, how your body reacts to that, what happens during the process could sometimes be a mistake in the making. Now, I have had clients move on me, but the reality is that it's not an excuse for a crooked piercing. Usually the piercing is done long before they have an opportunity to move. Now, the jewelry transfer, as I mentioned earlier, that can be affected by movement too, and it can be uncomfortable in some cases. Now, blaming everything on the client, that's not professional. You should always admit your mistakes when you make them, do everything in your power to correct the situation, and study what happened to improve your skills and try to make sure it never happens again. Not taking accountability for your actions and your mistakes is just going to continue to cause you to make mistakes. So that's why I think it's a really common mistake made by piercers. Well, I hope you learned something from all this. What are some of the common mistakes you've seen piercers either do to you as a client, or if you're a piercer you've seen in the industry? Till next time, here's hoping your piercing skill with ease without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.